George, and go. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook, I am Goes. That is Dan Tom. You are listening to MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. Gorgeous George is a couple minutes behind, and it might be because we had a very strange day today. I don't know how to describe this, Dan, other than it's very strange, and I cannot talk about any of it. But it was just strange. You ever had one of those days?
Like Bill Cosby strange?
No, not like that.
Okay, well,
very, very Groundhog's Day-ish strange.
All
but
right, okay.
Today's going to be an action-packed show today. Rick Mahorn from the NBA. I grew up not liking Rick Mahorn because I was a Lakers fan, and one of our rivals, the Boston Celtics, the Detroit Pistons. He was on the Detroit Pistons. But now he's going to be on our show, and we have to put that aside. He will be on the show. He's going to talk some NBA hoops because the finals are upon us. The Toronto Raptors are up 1-0 in that series. It's gotten pretty interesting. We'll also be joined by Darien Caldwell, Bellator Bantamweight. He will be coming on. He's going to talk about his upcoming fight. Kyoji Horiguchi. Very interesting matchup. Rakim Cleveland from the PFL will be joining us as well. Kevin Holland, Calvin Kattar, Zari. A lot of people. Zari is one of the waitresses here. She's the best. Just dropped off 3 gozies, which you guys don't know is there for you. So you guys get to drink those.
Read my mind.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it will be very, very fun. And you know what really spurred all this on, Dan?
What is that, Goes? What
I was listening to At the Fights.
Okay.
Randy Gordon, Jerry Cooney, and they were having so much fun that I thought, you know what? We need to have some fun. And one of the ways we have fun is by ordering gozies.
Yes, sir. That is the way we have fun.
So I thought, why not start that show off like that today?
Is that yours, Dan?
Slide
you
it
want
over
it to be sure. Thank you, sir. Cheers.
Here you go, George.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, just gracias. Good catch. Look at that. Cat-like reflexes on Gigi.
Thank you.
So anyway, that's what's up. I just informed everybody of who's going to be on the show today. And that today was kind of an odd day and funny day.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah, well, it's the weekend. We're fired up for it. We got the UFC back in Stockholm. That should be pretty cool. Of course, the NHL and NBA playoffs continue. We'll be keeping an eye on that. A few of the junkies I was chatting with on Twitter was telling me, how do you guys do it? How do you stay up with it? Look, I'm not going to lie. If you told me, hey, give me the starting lineup of the Raptors, I'd probably say,
that'd be tough.
Well, there's Kawhi Leonard. And that would be it. I know there's some guy named Sasaka or something like that. Scored 32 last night. Oh, no, I guess there's Kyrie.
No, not Kyrie Irving.
Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, so there's maybe a few, Marc Gasol, so there's 4. But still, my point is I just don't track them all 82 games. I don't even do that for the Lakers. It's just too much. MMA is jam-packed as it is. If we only did the UFC, that's pretty jam-packed as it is. But, of course, there's Bellator, PFL, LFA, CFFC, Titan, one championship, Invicta.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
And submission grappling.
Boxing.
On the way, of course, yeah. On the way here, I was like, Anthony Johnson, he's fighting again. Did you guys see that?
No.
Or he's competing again, I should have said.
Oh, okay.
He's grappling.
Okay.
So, all right, cool. But I just thought, wow, that was cool to see his name light up because so many, well, not a lot, but there's been some names lately coming out of retirement or just kind of dipping their toe back into mixed martial arts. I thought, ooh, Rumble's back.
Some of them fighting, some of them grappling. But it's good to see names come back. It's fun.
It is, but still, we want him in MMA, right?
No. Anthony
Johnson.
Man.
Anthony
if
Johnson.
he ain't hitting somebody, I mean, I'm not too worried about his guard pass game tight.
I'll take him in grappling, but you're right. You want to see him in MMA, or even I think I'd even take him in boxing. I think that'd be fun.
I don't know I don't know which top 5 I did that sent me on this rabbit hole, but I went down the Anthony Johnson welterweight rabbit hole, and it's just fun to go
Rich
back
Clemente
and remember that. Like, oh crap, how do you make this weight?
The white boy from Minnesota, with the redhead, what was his name?
Oh, Tommy Spears slept him into the fence.
UFC Fight Night
13.
That was one of the weirdest cuts
kid,
early on. because he was second place in his season, right?
Yeah, he was.
And I think he lost like
too.
one fight, and then he was gone, right?
He had a little bit of that country boy effect, kind of like a little bit of Matt Hughes. He's strong like Matt Hughes, but he's from Minnesota like Brock Lesnar, you know. And Sean Strick at the time was thriving in the UFC, and so I thought, yeah, man, he's going to be maybe part of that little mold. Didn't work out.
And not to rehash them. I know you guys already reacted to and we did ourselves actually a bit to the recent cuts like a Theodorou, but that was of the age, remember, where they're a little more aggressive with the roster maintenance if you were a wrestler. I mean, even guys like John Fitch who challenged for the title weren't exactly safe, So your style probably had a bit to do into it, and you mentioned the wrestling.
Yeah. In fact, do you guys remember Marty Morgan?
Yeah.
He was with Brock Lesnar for a while.
That's right.
And then do you remember a guy named Greg Nelson?
Yeah, the Minnesota guy.
He was regarded as a top coach in mixed martial arts, but we're going back a good 10 to 15 years of what their height was. There's a lot of remember Mark Lehman? There's a lot of coaches that
he's kind of back, right?
Were household names, the same way you hear of the new batch or the long-time guys. Mm-hmm. They were out there. They had their stables, and then they've gone away. I was thinking about that the other day with mixed martial arts, just how many people have been in our sport and now exited the sport.
We've been doing this show for a long time, and one thing that I remember was early on, like one of the first times we ever had Brock Lesnar on. Do you think we had to wake up like at 5 a.m. to do that interview?
For Brock? No, it was for Dana.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure for Brock Lesnar.
We had to wake up for. No, you know who set that up?
Who?
Chili Billy McDonald, if I'm not mistaken.
Dana?
Billy.
No, Dana got set up by a friend of ours, a listener of ours named Christopher from Delaware. Mm-hmm. Remember him?
Yeah.
He set that up. Chili Billy, if I'm not mistaken, set up Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. The old times were different. I remember one time. Can I tell the story? Yeah, I think I can tell the story.
You can tell.
All right. One time at Younger Goes. This is back when our show was called Tag Radio. This is probably the first 2 years of our existence, right? One time I got so drunk. George and Frank Trigg were in New York at Sirius, right, at the time. It was Alton and I back in Las Vegas. And we got so hammered that I don't even remember doing this. But apparently I called BJ Penn, like at midnight our time. Mm-hmm. And I asked him to wake me up the next morning for the show. And he called me, and I didn't remember this. So then in the morning, my phone rings, and it's BJ Penn. I'm like, that's weird. I pick it up, and he goes, hey, did you wake up? I'm like, what? I go, what is going on? He goes, he called me last night. He told me to wake you up. I go, I did? He goes, yeah. I go, well, thank you. He goes, no problem, brother. And then he just hangs up.
That was nice.
It was the weirdest thing.
Well,
but things like this would happen.
He's like, Goes, I called you 3 times already. Pick up the phone. Got it.
There were a lot of those type of things that would happen back in the day that were just funny, man. Just having to wake up and the dog barking in the background.
Old Max. Yeah. And he really is old. He's 16 and a half years.
Wow.
Yeah. And shout out to Max. Our editor-in-chief, our current editor-in-chief, Simon Samano. He lost his dog.
Yeah.
Oh, he was telling me about that, and I was like, my heart broke. Just as he was telling me that, I happened to be working on the preview, and I was just thinking how blessed we are because old Max was, right there, right next to me.
Mm-hmm. He's slowing down, but he's still going, right?
He is, yeah. But I was like, when Simon was telling me, I was like, man, and they're, him and the wife were getting ready to spend a few days together, and that kind of slowed down their trip a little bit. So, shout out to the Samano family. All right, Deena White. You mentioned the old days. One constant in the sport is Deena White. He's kind of been there. Of the 26 years of the existence of the sport, he's been around it for about a good 21. First as a manager, like a fan, then a manager. A little bit of a coach,
personal
and
trainer.
then as a president for almost 20. And look, early on, he was a little bit more polite and buttoned up and didn't speak his mind, and then that all changed. He just went Lex Luthor style once he went, completely bald and muscled up a little bit, you know what I mean? And the company started making some money. It was his way or the highway. But this is funny. This is Deena White reacting to some fans who are unhappy with Sacramento's main event. Sacramento's main event, by the way, is Aspen Ladd against Jermaine Durandamy. Jermaine Durandam, he's the first UFC featherweight champion, and she's going to be fighting now as a bantamweight again versus Aspen Ladd. So it's a 5-round main event. UFC on ESPN Plus 13, scheduled for Saturday, July 13th. That's the main event. Fans are obviously tripping a little bit. You know what he told them?
You goof.
Stay home, fuckface. That was basically it, man. Stay home, fuckface, if you don't like it. And you know what? That's something that he's pretty much been saying for about a good 15 years or so. People, and for 15 years, people are telling him he should be more buttoned up. He should be more like, we used to say David Stern, now Adam Silver. We used to say he should be more like Paul Tagliabue. Now, what's the new guy's name?
I don't. Goodell.
Goodell, yeah. So, I mean, we've literally gone through generations of other commissioners to compare him to. No, he's not like that. He is a fella who was a sports fan, more specifically a combat sports fan, more specifically even than that, a boxing fan who got turned on to MMA, had some buddies who had the money and the balls to start a promotion, and things did not go well early on. By the way, a lot of these stories, a lot of these things you'll hear are on the UFC Fight Pass. The Fertitta brothers, Deena White. I mean, there's a lot of things you can find out, about the history. But they took a big chance, and of course, the Ultimate Fighter Championship won. The reality show is when they kind of like shoved all their chips to go all in, and Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonnar put on one hell of a fight. It got them a season 2, and this was back on Spike TV, which then became Paramount, which who knows, it may be another name now. But anyway, that's just been Deena White all this time. You know what I mean? And he can honestly get away with that because fans will still go out there and buy the product because the UFC is gold.
Can I say something?
Sure.
What's up?
I feel like if he wasn't the way he was, the UFC may not be where
He's
it
got to
is
be
today.
like that. He's got to be a little bit of a
I don't
jerk.
know that he has
He's
to
gotta
be
an
like
asshole.
that now, but had he not been like that at the time, I'm not saying they couldn't have reached where they reached.
Right.
But it probably wouldn't have gone as smoothly. I think his brashness actually kind of helped out a little bit early on. I'm not saying he has to be like that today, but I think it may have helped in the transition.
Peak was Dana White vlogs when he had those going. You'd also have to mix in funny stuff.
Prior to Embedded, right?
Yeah, because you get Dana, but then you also see the funny and stuff and the good charity that he would do, because there's always funny stuff.
And the tickets? Remember the Twitter giveaways?
The tickets or whatever.
He's been fun, man. I mean, look, he's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I think he had to be a certain way, because if he was too nice, he would have got ran over. And so I think honestly his job is to be a jerk. Like if he left and the UFC said, "Hey, we need a new president." Oh yeah, well, what do you need to be the UFC president? What are the qualities you're looking for, or what kind of attributes? Well, you got to be an asshole. Oh, okay, well that rules me, whatever. I think you basically have to have that. That's just basically the promoter's role, man. He's got to try and please 500 plus on the roster, their managers, the fans. I mean, it's tough. Has he stepped over the line? Of course he has. Has he done stuff that he regrets? Of course he is. But he's super rich, and you're never gonna really hear "I'm sorry" out of him. That's just kind of the way he rolls. He's powerful, and powerful people don't do that. I'll tell you what, though, we got to change the subject real quick. We got to go to a quick break, because when we come back, we're gonna be talking to Rick Mahorn. I want to talk a little bit about NBA. The NBA's finals have started, and man, this sportsbook was full here. There was a lot of Golden State fans, some Raptor fans, and it was a fun game. So we'll talk a little bit about this series that has just started. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 156.
They were abducted by aliens and instantly returned for raiding all their snacks. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from mixed martial arts, the fighting game, to talk to one of the great power forwards of the history of the National Basketball Association. This guy was a thorn in my side, Goes, in the 80s.
I saw him down that before the show.
I was a huge Lakers fan. Man, these guys were tough. Mahorn, Rodman, Laimbeer. Holy cow, man. They were the bad boys. And they said this one was the baddest of all the bad boys. Joining us now on the hotline is Rick Mahorn. What's up, Rick? How you doing?
I'm doing great, but listen to all this crying. I'm thinking I'm not on a real channel right now.
You don't understand.
All this stuff.
We were conditioned to not like you, but you won us over.
Yeah, we respected you. The respect was there, but the Pistons were some bad dudes. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I think we could have got in there and mixed it up a little bit. I don't know, but you know, I think Rodman tried it, but I stay in my lane.
Rick, hey, before we talk some NBA finals, are you a fan of mixed martial arts? You know, like UFC and Bellator. Do you watch it? Do you ever think to yourself, you know what? I've thrown some elbows before. I could get in there and mix it up.
Look, I can throw some elbows, but then it's the leg whips and forget that. We got a guy on my team. I coached 3-on-3, the Big Three with Ice Cube League, and I got Royce White on my team, and he's into that mixed martial arts. So I'm like, man, no, you're a better man than me.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors. We had Game 1 yesterday, and Toronto held home court there, so they're up 1-0. How big was that statement game? Because the Warriors were like, you know, streaking hot. They were not only winning, but they were winning without Kevin Durant. So it was like they were really, really en fuego.
Well, you want to know something? You know, both teams were hot. You had the Toronto Raptors, who won 4 straight against the Milwaukee Bucks team. They did what they had to do, and then, you know what? They won at home, and you're playing against the world champs. You better come with your best game. And I'll tell you, Pascal Siakam had one of his best games I've seen so far. He's been playing well in the regular season, kind of struggled within the playoffs a little bit, but you know what? It's always good to get hot at the right time. Right,
because you want to kind of like cut off that, I mean, like, the Warriors, their swag was just growing, you know what I mean? They were remembering what it was like to win without Kevin Durant. And who knows if Kevin Durant's going to show up at any point in this series. Maybe you can tell us that if you know. But I just figured they had to stop the bleeding, and that Game 1 was going to be very crucial. I mean, they're all crucial, don't get me wrong, but I thought that was a nice statement game.
Well, it was a game, you know, it was the first game, and, you know, Toronto, first time that team, that franchise being in the finals, in their 24-year existence. This is huge. And having, you know, Jurassic Park and everybody in Canada rooting for them it's like USA versus Canada. So it's fun to watch. I thought it was a great game the way the crowd was into it from the start. It's going to be a great series, but you know what the thing is, you still got the Golden State Warriors. They're still the champs.
I know.
And you got to protect and win in game number 2. Because it's not only one, you got to beat them 3 more games right now. And you still got to go to Oracle Arena. So we're not saying that it was a real statement game, but it was a game that they needed to win.
Mm-hmm. Rick Mahorn joining us here on the hotline. All right, Goes, what do you have for the baddest of all the bad boys?
Rick, now, in team sports, momentum is always talked about. It's a big deal. In the case of the Golden State Warriors, they were so good that they actually had to sit on the bench for a little while, let the Eastern Conference play out. How much did that affect them, having roughly about a week just sitting around, just only practicing, not having games? Do you feel like that affected them at all in Game 1?
Well, you know, you're always going to have some rust. I mean, Milwaukee had it when they had a few days off. A lot of teams need to get their sea legs back, being in that position back in the day when the bad boys were beating up on the Lakers, since you're still crying.
Oh, man.
But, you know, when you have a break, you can't practice any kind of game energy. So the Golden State Warriors, hey, look, I expect them to play a better game on Sunday, and it's not even the fact that it'll be a better game, but they'll have to figure out some things. And you know what? You got to give it to Toronto. One guy, I mean, if you look at it, they kind of got Kawhi Leonard out of his rhythm, but then you got a guy like Pascal Siakam who got his rhythm going, and then the front court definitely has to score for the Golden State Warriors. You know, they rely on the Splash Brothers. Maybe this is what they need to do, but you know, we don't know when Kevin Durant's going to come, if he is even going to play. The thing is, you just got to go in there and play them as if you don't have Kevin Durant, and don't worry about that. Take care of your business.
Who does it fall on to motivate the Golden State Warriors? I know there's times where the coach can be the motivator, and there's times where the team captain can be it. And sometimes there's a guy that is on the bench and doesn't really play as much, but he just says the right things. Does it fall on Steph Curry right now to round up the troops and motivate them? Who do you feel has to do that?
Oh, no, it's no time for it. If you ain't motivated being in the finals, you don't need to play. And Golden State's been there the last 4 or 5 years. They won three championships, and only it's good not to see Cleveland in there with LeBron James. But it's no motivation that you need. That if you want to three-peat, if that's your goal, if you want to win a championship for Boogie Cousins, that's your goal. Whatever it takes for anybody on that team, or you want to lose to the better team. And momentum, you asked me about momentum. It's always good to have that momentum going in. And with Toronto, they had momentum, didn't have enough. They had days to prepare, and that's what's the fun thing about the playoffs. That if you're one team, you're getting rest for guys who've been playing a lot of minutes, and then you also, on the other hand, you don't have the sharpness that you might have in that next game. So with that being said, I just think Sunday's going to be a real game tester. Now, this is where you got to see if Toronto protects home. This is where Golden State, they come back, and they come back loaded for bear.
Is dominance good for the NBA? We see what the Golden State Warriors have done. And we do our show out of the Race and Sportsbook here at the Mandalay Bay. When we look out in the sportsbook, there's guys with Piston jerseys on. There's guys with Milwaukee Bucks jerseys on. They want to cheer against Golden State because they don't want to see them do this again. Is it good for the NBA?
Well, let me tell you something. If you go back in the NBA history, you had the Celtics winning. You had the Lakers winning. You had New York winning a couple of times. You had the Chicago Bulls winning 6 times. Is domination in any professional sport good? I mean, it is what it is. You want to root for the underdogs, but if you're not good enough and your team's not is pursuant to get a championship, then shame on you. But if you can get guys to gear up together, I don't even worry about it. If Golden State brings in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and they win another one, it is until someone knocks them down and say, hey, we're the better team.
Rick Mahorn can be caught on the show called No Look Pass, and it's 1 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Channel 86. Folks, you will love it. It's just as great during the season as it is on the off season. And, of course, as a Laker fan, I'll be trying to see what the guys say as far as who's going to join LeBron and that young core that we have so we can get back to the old.
We're a soap opera.
Exactly.
Back to the old. Getting back to nothing. Y'all going home again.
Oh, man. He's stabbing us in the heart, Ghost.
I know.
Why's he got to go there?
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, you asked me about dominance. I said, kick them while you're down. Kick them while you're down because they will get back up. But, no, I'm also on off the dribble tomorrow from 10 to 1 on satellite radio.
All right. Dan, did you have your last question you wanted to ask Rick?
Hey, Rick, just a quick one. Honored to be talking to you, of course. A lot of people talking about Drake's presence in the series, and of course comparing him to a famous courtside figure that is Spike Lee. And one of my personal favorite players was Scottie Pippen back in the day. And what Scottie Pippen did to solve that was he had this amazing dunk in '94 on Ewing, and then had a moment with Spike that's pretty iconic. If that moment were recreated in the finals, we all know Drake is Spike Lee, but who's Ewing on the Raptors, and who is Pippen on the Warriors if that scene gets recreated?
If that scene gets recreated, first and foremost, Spike Lee was not next to the bench. He's he's on the other side of the court. But if they had to recreate it, I think it's if KD comes back and he dunks on Serge Ibaka, that would be more, to me, an iconic scene because nobody's expecting KD to come back in this series. But if he gets back, that makes Golden State a lethal weapon.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for spending some time with us here on a fighting channel. We really, really appreciate it, Rick. Again, we catch your show quite often, and it's a quality show, and so is the whole NBA channel. So, again, thank you for your time, and it really has been an honor to have you on our show.
I appreciate y'all. Stop crying about them Lakers. They ain't going to.
You'll see.
We're
Wait a couple years.
We're going to have you on next season when we're winning. Watch out.
Oh, listen. Here's one for you. I'm going to do the Charles Barkley. They're gold fishing.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a nice evening. All right, you too.
All right, bye.
All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break. That was Rick Mahorn. I'm telling you, man, look up the Bad Boy Pistons from like late 80s to early 90s. Those guys were no joke. Tough bunch of hombres, and it was really, really fun watching them compete against the Bulls, the Knicks, and, of course, on this side, the Lake Show.
They had the red card in basketball. They would have to forfeit half of their games.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Put excellence and excitement in your Vitamix. Add ice, and you get MMA Junkie Radio.
Man, that was awesome to talk to one of the great power forwards in the history of the NBA. Shout out to Josh, Jumbo Josh, for lining that one up. And speaking of the NBA, here nonstop coverage of the NBA Finals, including play-by-play of every game until a new champion is crowned on NBA Radio, Sirius 207 XM 86. And for anything you missed, go to the SiriusXM app. Just search NBA Radio. Off the Dribble was one of his shows, and the other one is the No Look Pass. All right, joining us now, Darien Caldwell, the Bellator Bantamweight champion. He's going to be fighting Kyoji Horiguchi at Bellator 222. Makes me want to play three-card poker. They're going to be fighting at the Garden on June 14th. So literally, we're 2 weeks away. And this is now Darien defending his Bantamweight title against Kyoji Horiguchi. Joining us now on the hotline is Darien Caldwell. What's up, Darien? How you doing?
Well, thanks for having me, man. I'm doing good.
Great. Hey, man, that's pretty cool. The Garden, have you let that sunk in, or is that not a big deal to you, or is it?
It's definitely a big deal, you know. I remember getting the call from my dad the other day. It got publicized, like, man, he just made my dreams come true, you know. So for me to be a Jersey kid, you know, East Coast guy, you know, growing up, the Garden is the biggest, you know, venue in the world, you know, to me. So for me to be able to go out there and compete there is a dream come true.
Did you ever wrestle there?
No, I've never wrestled at the Garden.
Oh, okay. All right.
We did AC. We did AC a lot, Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm. You know, if we had you on the show 6 months ago and said, hey, you ever fought in Japan? No. You ever fought at the Garden? No. And look at that. Saitama, I know that wasn't a night that you want to remember, but still pretty epic that you got to go out there and compete, you know what I mean? And now you get to compete against the same opponent in Bellator, and so that's got to be pretty special, you know, for you.
Absolutely. You know, fighting at Saitama and then Madison Square Garden is definitely a step up from Thackerville, Oklahoma, so I'm excited to go out there June 14th.
Oh, yeah, dude, he's got 3 Thackervilles in a row. So that's a, you know, hey, much love to the WinStar Casino. I've heard it's beautiful with great restaurants and everything, but you don't want to spend too many days there. You want to just kind of get in, beat someone up, get out. But see, the New York City, I mean, he could be there a whole 2 weeks and he wouldn't even hit 10% of what New York has to offer. But first things first, it's Kyoji Horiguchi. Darien, is there how can I put this? How much are you going to be able to control your emotions, you know, to fight somebody who just gave you a loss? Like, is this a feeling of like, man, I'm going to get this dude, or are you able to keep a level head and just compete against another great fighter?
Well, the thing is, I'm human. You know, I'm susceptible to losing. Mm-hmm. You know, and you know, just like every other loss I've encountered, you know, I just dust myself off and come back. You know. The thing about Horiguchi, you know, he was destined for that. You know, it was his time. You know, he's a great fighter. He put in the work, the time to be the rising champion. You know, and so I think moving forward, you know, after fighting the first time, it'll play itself out. You know, I don't remember ever in my martial arts career, either my martial arts career or my wrestling career, where I just had an opponent who I couldn't beat, you know. So the second time is usually better for me. Whenever I wrestle a guy or fight a guy, I usually beat him the second time. So looking forward to it.
That's right. He did beat Joe Tamaglia the second time they fought around. And what a classy answer from a champion. I love hearing that. Respect to the opponent, cool. Respect to the future matchup. And then, of course, you let the fists, the feet, the elbows, the knees do the talking. All right, let me turn it over to the fight analyst, Dan Tom. Dan, what do you have for Darien Caldwell?
I'm glad you brought up that, you know, that loss and how you came back from it, Darien. And for what it's worth, I remember, I believe they call him Baby, listed as the Juggernaut, but I believe Baby Joe is also a name for him. And he used to train at Alliance as well. Is that true, Darien?
Yeah, he used to train at Alliance, and then it was kind of funny because when I was training to fight Baby Joe, I was out in California with Bobby Green at Pinnacle, and I seen Phil at one of the Bellator fights, and you know he had offered an invite for me to come train at Alliance. And I was like, I don't know if he knows like me and Baby Joe are fighting again. Like, and at the time, I guess Baby Joe was leaving Alliance, you know? And so, you know, I knew Phil since, you know, my college wrestling days. So, you know, I was like, I just jumped on the opportunity when I realized Baby Joe wasn't there. So, yeah. I know he used to train here before, but I don't think you said he's not. He's coming every once in a while, but he doesn't.
I got you. And, yeah, that sounds about right, because I was going to say one of my coaches went from Extreme Couture to Alliance. He's no longer there, but it was Neil Melanson. And I went there in, 2014 and did the pro grappling practice, and they had sparring afterwards. And I remember him saying specifically, he goes, everybody here's pretty good. You know, they're really respectful if you respect them. But he said, don't go with Baby Joe. He plays for keeps. And that always stuck with me. So it may have been an upset, but there's no shame in that. And obviously there's definitely no shame because you got it back decisively. So I just wanted to throw that out there. No shame in that Baby Joe chapter.
No, for sure. You know, everybody's welcome to Alliance except Baby Joe. Baby Joe and the guys at Alpha Male. I know Alpha Male makes members of our either.
Oh, the rivalry still exists. All right, we're talking to Darien Caldwell, the Bellator Bantamweight champion, who's going to be defending his belt at Bellator 222, and that takes place on June 14th. Fights are going to be emanating from the Madison Square Garden. You can watch the fights on DAZN, 10 p.m. Eastern start time for that main card. All right, Goes, what do you have for Darien Caldwell?
Darien, you're in a unique situation because the first fight was in Risen, and now this one is at Bellator. I'm not going to say should you win because I don't want you to beat me up. I'm going to say when you win, where would who's entitled to the rubber match? Where would that happen?
Oh, well, I think given the first fight was for a vacant belt, technically no one was a champion at Rising as a bantamweight champion. No one was a champ, so with that being said, the belt is vacant. He won. He's going to come over here. I'm going to defend my belt against him. And the trilogy, he's going to defend his belt against me, his rising belt against me and in Japan. So that's how that would go.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Like
in your career, you've actually gotten a lot of finishes, okay? Where I'm getting at is, what do you anticipate happening in this fight? Because I know every fighter does go out with the intention to get a finish, but it's easier said than done. Having fought him already and knowing the pace that the fight goes at, do you anticipate a finish in this fight?
I'm not necessarily anticipating a finish. I am looking for a finish, you know. I'm looking to shut this guy's body off before the end of the night, you know, before the 25 minutes is done. But I'm definitely prepared for a 25-minute war. I'm prepared. I done put my body through the grind, you know, high-intensity rounds throughout this camp where when the fourth and fifth round comes around, it's gonna be my rounds.
I like that saying. Shut somebody off.
Yeah, when he said that, I thought that's pretty cool.
That's pretty gangster. It sounds like really, really like smart and scientific, but it sounds gangster to me. That's what I would say. Like when they, on fight week, when they have a media day or something, and they go, okay, now we're going to pose the two fighters off. And you can see their lips moving. You don't know what they're saying, but I could see Darien going, I'm going to shut you off on Friday. I'm going to shut you off on Saturday, whenever, you know, whatever June 14th lands on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like, God damn, why do you have to say that?
I thought it was pretty
I'm
cool.
going to shut you off.
Or if you own like an electric company, that's how you would fire people, right?
Pretty much.
Better watch it, fool, or I'll shut your power off.
I'm going to learn how to say it in Japanese.
There you go.
You understand what I'm saying.
There you go. All right, Darien. Well, hey, I want to wish you the best of luck. Thanks for doing the show. It's great catching up with you, and I cannot wait for this fight card. It's pretty stacked, man, from top to bottom, and, of course, this title fight, man, is going to be a good one. So thanks for the time, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you have a safe camp.
Thank you, man.
All right, we'll see you. All right, and by the way, we got some more Bellator fighters coming next week. Lyoto Machida is going to stop by,
cool.
And we're also going to have Neiman Gracie. So shout out to the Bellator guys, Dan, CJ.
Always hustling.
Always, hustling for us.
In studio?
No, they're going to phone in because I think they will already be in New York.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Update me, Andre. Did we have Rakim ready to go?
Oh, not yet, guys. You could go for a break.
All right, let's take a quick break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation. channel 156. And how about this? Gave
Tell
some
us,
love
Coach.
to the NBA. How about the NHL Network quality as well? Tomorrow night at 8 Eastern, the Stanley Cup Final moves from St. Louis for Game 3. And hear all of it for the hometown calls right here on SiriusXM for nonstop hockey talk. Check out NHL Network Radio. That's channel 91. And we'll be right back.
Good, you're still here. The boys were just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
All right, fellas, on June 6th at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, in Uniondale, New York, PFL is back. It's PFL 2019, Week 3. We get to watch heavyweights and light heavyweights. One of the featured bouts is Rakim Cleveland and Viktor Nemkov in the light heavyweight division. Joining us now on the hotline is Rakim Cleveland. What's up, Rakim? How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for doing the interview. Your fight is rapidly coming up, but I wanted to ask you, looking back on Season 1, what did you like and dislike about how things functioned? I mean, a lot of fighters have said great things, but were there any things that you also, maybe would have preferred differently?
I mean, as far as them running the system, I mean, everything functioned well, man. They had everything plotted out how they needed to, and pretty much everything was on a timely manner. Didn't really run behind or anything. So, as far as that, I'm happy. Now things playing out as far as Season 1. of course, I have to say, first performance was okay. My last two performances, of course, I could have did better. Small mistakes cost me running at the million, and I would look forward to having the chance to get back at it.
Was most of your focus during the off season on not even getting to the ground, or on the actual submission defense, or maybe both?
Both. I had I had a long time off to revamp myself, and I spent a lot of times wrestling with Coach Steve Mako, and doing a lot of grappling with Alison Barbosa, which is one of our head jiu-jitsu coaches here at the top team. So definitely, I worked a lot on my takedown defense and getting back to my feet if taken down, but I also worked a lot on submission defense and sharpening my submission game up.
Steve Mako doesn't get enough love in our sport.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's a gorilla.
Yeah.
King Mo has told me.
That man's a savage.
Yeah, King Mo has told me it's a nightmare to get taken down by Steve Mako and to be fighting from your back. How about you, Rakim? Has he put it on you as well?
No, yeah, definitely. Steve Mako is the kind of guy that if he grabs you, you're definitely in trouble. And man, hands down, even some of the coaches here tell you, he might be one of the best grapplers to ever grace American top team.
Wow. Yeah. He doesn't get enough love, man. But he's an awesome wrestler out of Oklahoma State. He wrestled around the time of Cormier and those guys, but he's a stud. All right. Rakim, let me turn it over to the co-host. Here goes. What do you have for Rakim Cleveland?
Rakim, so on that same topic of Steve Mako, from what we've gathered from other fighters that have trained in your particular gym, they don't really realize that they're getting better until they're put up against one of their peers, because the coaches are so good and they get put in such a grind that you don't actually, it sucks because you're getting taken down by a Steve Mako, someone like that, and just really putting it on you. But then you realize after a while, I'm actually learning, as bad as this is. Can you maybe talk about one of those days where you just had a bad day, but then later on realized it was for the good?
Definitely. I believe one day in jiu-jitsu class, actually, it was me and him. We were the only big guys in the class, so I had to go every single round with him, and he punished me for like 5 rounds straight. It was terrible.
Man,
but he made me tougher. He made me focus on defense, and he taught me how to do certain things to get out of positions and work back up to my feet. And it's been paying off against guys my size, and I look forward to showcasing that here soon.
This is a cruel sport, man. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs, and when you go through one of those periods where there's a down, can you maybe share, is there a particular person in your life that you lean on for advice, a good bounce back type person?
I'm super close. I'm super close to my parents. Of course, my wife. She's there with me, thick and thin, up and down. But I talk to my dad a lot. My dad's been, he boxed a lot through his lifetime. He's been around, comeback sports. So, I definitely kind of vent and bounce things off of him and shoot him, film of my opponents and stuff like that. So he's always in my corner, even when he's not in my corner. And he breaks down film for me and stuff like that. So we definitely spend a lot of time, ups or downs on the phone and kind of going over stuff.
That's awesome. To hear that. Very cool. All right. Dan Tom, our fight analyst. What do you have for Rakim Cleveland?
Hey, Rakim. I'm really interested, hearing as you're explaining the work you've been doing kind of on the off season, because it's been, about 8 months since we're gonna get to see you, and again, you're deceptively experienced, but you're still only 30. And I know that, I don't know your exact training regime, but I know that, American Top Team is just within the last few years, if I'm not correct. Either way, it looks like you've been working hard here. And let me ask you, because when I go to your Instagram, Rakim, I see vets like Arlovsky. I see, like, these tough Dagestani dudes. I see, young athletic studs like Greg Hardy. Can you talk about the people you're working with and, if that environment? Is there anybody that, that's been helping, whether, guide you like a veteran or just being a really good partner to you?
I'm definitely, like you said, you see all the big guys I work with. I'm a light heavyweight, but I train with the heavyweights a lot. And me and Arlovsky, we're actually becoming very close. Also with Greg Hardy, and we kind of, Greg's young in the game, so we kind of bounce stuff off of him, and he asks us questions, but he helps us out too because he's such a big, explosive person. But Arlovsky definitely, I spent a lot of time with him. I actually was one of his main training partners for his Walt Harris fight. So definitely learning from him and the coaches he bring in, and training with, coaches like Mike Brown and Dean Thomas and stuff like that. It's definitely helped me leaps and bounds in every aspect of the game.
That's awesome here. I got to imagine that's a good spot for you. Like you said, you got the more younger, athletic, explosive Hardy, but you also got the diverse veteran in Arlovsky, and you're right in the middle there, so that's got to be sweet. But let me ask you about your opponent, Viktor Nemkov, upcoming. Do you got any on him? Are you one of those fighters that don't watch anything, or like you said, you bounce off your support system and kind of get feedback from them? What's your diagnosis on this guy?
But definitely, when I got my opponent's name and whatnot from Cepho and the PFL, I sent it to all of my coaches, my Steve Marco, Alton Barbosa, Dean Thomas, Macahone, and they all watched the film, broke the film down, and of course I watched myself to kind of see, what his style's like and how he is, and we went from early in his career to as present as we can to kind of put together a game plan. So we definitely got a feel for him. He's a great, opponent, and he's well-rounded. So I think next week will be very interesting.
Rakim, I want to leave you with one quick question. How often when you go back and watch the film do you catch, portions of your fight where you think, oh, man, like, what was I waiting for? Like, I should have thrown a punch and you didn't. Do you say that often, or are you pretty pleased usually with how fights unfold for you?
No, all the time. I say it all the time, man. I'm a big critic of myself. Win or lose, I watch my film over and over, and I look at the mistakes I made, and I look at the things I did right. And there's times that you see stuff that you didn't quite catch in a fight, and you're like, oh my God, that was your opener right there that you missed. But
right.
All the time. All
right, man. We look forward to watching you fight, and that's coming up here for Week 3 of the PFL's 2019 season. We really, really loved PFL last year. I'm glad they're back. Same format, regular season, and playoffs and $1 million. So you got a little bit of an advantage over some of the newbies. You know what I mean? You kind of went through that grind. You know what it's like. So hopefully that pays off for you. We hope to catch up with you on some of your further fights. But in the meantime, thanks so much for tonight. And, safe travels to Uniondale, New York. And go do your thing on Thursday.
Thank you. Can't wait to shock the world and beat this guy who's such a big overdog on me.
That's what's up. All right, Rakim. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right. That's the Boogeyman. On Twitter at Team Rakim58. Catching up a little bit. Rick Mahorn at BadBoyHorn44. Darien Caldwell at The Wolf MMA. That's one thing I noticed, and I asked him that question, is when I go back and watch fights.
Darien?
No, not Darien.
Rakim?
Just fights in general. I just see so many openings for a straight punch, right before somebody's circling out of your punching range, away from your power. And I just wonder, I'm going to start asking more fighters, what do you think you were thinking at that moment? Not in a critical way, but just he was saying that he does watch film, and I was just wondering that.
On that same note, and feel free to steal this, guys, especially when the PFL fighters come on. I'm not here just in general. But on that same note, I'm curious how much more of these fighters, we talk about it all the time, like, oh, this guy, he doesn't watch, a lot of fighters don't watch film. They always say that, right? But I wonder how much of these PFL guys are going to do it, because it's such in real time, especially once that season gets going into the playoffs. I mean, you got to be scouting your guys, right?
I don't see how it could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I really don't. A lot of fighters say they don't, but then you look and they're like 18-2, and you're like, okay, I guess you're doing something right.
I mean, you're on the same card.
But to get a feel, right?
I mean, they're on the same card, granted, so they're focusing on the guy ahead of me. But you're telling me, if you're the coach that's not on the mitts and you're kind of sitting back, you're not looking up at that monitor in the back room, and you're scouting out these guys, or you're looking at what they're doing for prep in the side room. I bet you there's a lot more of that kind of dogged scouting going on in a PFL format.
I'm more of the opinion that if you're not watching film, it's a bad thing. And I'll use him as an example. Dan, I won't give names, but in the last 2 months has probably called finishes quite a few times. If Dan can see it, why can't the other fighter know that that's a possibility?
Or the high-level coaches that have been there as well a bunch of times, right? Yeah, no, someone's got to be doing it. I think that's safe. If it's your fighter and you're hard with this isn't your process, I respect that. But to your point, I agree. Someone in the camp has to be doing it at this point. At this point of the game, right? Science, technology, everything advances. We know things now we didn't know.
But even the ones that say my coaches will tell me everything, okay, but is there a bigger problem? Is it something about when you watch mentally you start to crumble and you know now all of a sudden you have eight of the worst weeks of your life because you're just thinking about what you saw? I would say maybe that's something you need to correct. But when you have film on the guy in front of you, man, I just think that's valuable. It seems to be valuable in every other goddamn sport.
I'm with you guys, but I also get the other part because I had a similar hurdle where I'm like, do I even want to type this guy's name who I'm going to fight into the thing? And I had that same thing because, whatever you want to call it, you can be harsh and call it insecurity. I feel like it's just a part of a mental prep where it's like, I don't know if it's necessarily insecurity. It's like when you're going out with a girl, maybe when you're younger, you're like, I got to know. How many, quote Kevin Smith from Clerks, earmuffs people. How many dicks did you suck? But when you get older, you get older. You're like more mystery, less history, more mystery. You know what I'm saying? You get a little more mature. You stop worrying about that as much. You just worry about what's in front of you. And I think there's a lot of that approach to it too.
All right,
you don't want to see it.
That was a fun first hour, but we got to get to this top of the hour break. We're only going to be gone for about 60 seconds. When we come back, we expect Kevin Holland to be waltzing into the studio. Who's Kevin Holland? Some of you are asking. He just came through the Deena White Contender Series last year. I think they're calling him Big Mouth, right? What did Deena White give him a nickname? He embraces it, by the way. But, man, he's been handling his business. He faces Alessio Di Chirico, and that's coming up here in a couple weeks. So we'll talk about that when we come back. MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, channel 156.
Both iPhone and
See the one on the
Android
right?
carry a
Your
feature to
elbow?
make their show more enjoyable.
There you go.
It's called the mute button. Here are those two numbnuts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, as I stated before the commercial, joining us now in studio is Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland will be facing Alessio Di Chirico. I always butcher that guy's name.
I say Di Chirico.
Can we just call him ADC or something like that?
ADC?
Alessio Di Chirico. You know who to say it really nice was Julian Marquez. He fought him once and he goes, oh, Di Chirico, or whatever he would say. But
Yeah.
he'd always check me. All right, Kevin Holland is now a member of the UFC. 3 fights in, if you count for the Deena White Contender Series, that he won, except he wasn't elected that night. But he's been doing well. He's won his last 2, and he's got the fight coming up against ADC on June 22nd at UFC Fight Night 153. What's up, Kevin Holland? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, bro. Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, man. I was just telling you before the break that I was at that fight, and when you came out and fought, I go, he's going to win. Right away, I knew it within about a minute, because you had good range, good footwork, and everything. But, yeah, you started running that mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh, because you got to back it up. Now, you got the skills to back it up. So I go, as long as he backs it up, that's cool. Because everybody that I was with, you know how it's real quiet in there, right?
Yeah.
We're all kind of, like, entertained and watching. And you brought something different, a different swag. It stood out. But then as the rounds were going and we didn't have the finish, I go, ooh, that might come back to haunt him. And then, there was some other fighters that had some moments. Deena White wound up calling you big mouth, but like I was telling Goz and Dan, I was like, but you know what? I've seen Kevin on social media, and he's kind of embraced it. You've never let it affect you. You overcame all that, and here you are, man, doing great in the UFC. So congrats on that. That's been kind of an interesting road for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I really don't mind the big mouth. I think it's cool. You don't choose your nicknames; they're granted to you, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, Trailblazer was granted to me, so I ran with it. Big mouth was granted to me by Deena White. I mean, you run with it, right? I mean, some people would say it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing as long as you can live up to it. I can live up to it.
If you see him, does he still run with it? What's up, Big Mouth? Or
I actually have not seen him since the Los Angeles fight.
Oh,
just my luck, right? I haven't seen him since the Los Angeles fight. I fought in China, and I don't think he wanted to go to China. That's a pretty far flight, to go to Beijing.
In the early days, Deena was going to all the shows. Once he started cashing big checks, he was like, well, I'll stick to the pay-per-views and Fox or ESPN when they need me.
That's how I feel like that's how it should be. You know what I mean? You pay the cost to be the boss. You put in the time. Eventually, you don't have to do certain things as much as you once had to. I mean, that's why you have people that work for you, if that makes sense. I was raised in a house where, my grandma and grandpa owned their own business, and so it was always like, okay, now we're getting a little older. We don't want to do this. You guys go do it. And it was like, all right.
What they own? What kind of a business?
It was a cleaning business.
Oh, yeah?
Janitorial work.
Nice.
Window washing, carpet cleaning.
In Texas?
No, it was California. I'm actually from California.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom moved to Texas when I was like 16, maybe a little younger than that.
Were you ever a part of the business?
Yeah. My whole life growing up, you didn't have a choice. You stay with grandma and grandpa, you had to be part of the business, and it's nice when you got somebody to own a business that's pretty fun. So we did that. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
What was your room like?
My room's a mess.
Yeah. See, isn't it funny how that always works out? We're Latinos. Yeah. And we always get the mowing the lawn joke.
Yeah.
But our lawns are always the worst.
Yeah. I mean,
but we make sure everybody else is the best.
It's usually, it's usually how it goes. If you do it so much, when you go home, you don't want to do it no more. My grandma, she was so addicted to cleaning that she would just clean the whole house. You didn't have to. Clean
including your room, or did she stop right there?
No, she cleaned my room. And I started getting older. My grandpa was like, "Stop cleaning his room," and I was like, "No, keep cleaning it."
Could you keep it clean for just at least 2 days, or was it just like a wreck within hours?
No, so like I don't like dust, coming from the cleaning thing, and I don't really like trash. So I'll throw the trash away, but it's like my dirty clothes.
Yeah.
It's like I've always been a kicker. You know what I mean? I take it off and I just kick it, like boom, wherever it lands, and then it'll be in my way, and then I'll just start throwing it towards one wall.
Gotcha.
And then it's usually the walk-in section. So as soon as you walk in, it's just like a bunch of clothes.
You gotta
everywhere.
step over.
Yeah, but I can't do that with gym gear because gym gear stinks.
Oh yeah, that funk is terrible.
Yeah, but good thing is, since we got my old lady and everything, we got a house and got a garage. So as soon as I come home, I just blah blah in the garage. So when you go in the garage, you're like, it smells like a gym in here. I enjoy it though, you know.
That's you gotta make sure the trash cans are there. You can just blame it on that. Yeah, trash is kind of funky.
Trash can in there too.
Yeah,
the gym stuff just overpowers it, bro. Nothing like a good gym sweat.
I want to go back really quick, back to the Big Mouth.
Let's go back to the Big Mouth.
Could it have been a good thing? Because I will say this, there are so many of you today, and you're all wearing the same thing, the Reebok kit, right? Different colors here and there. But the Big Mouth thing kind of helped me remember you. Did it help you?
Yeah, it helped me a lot. So when I go certain places, if you watch the Contender Series, you watch that particular time, and you had what's his name? Used to be in the NFL.
Greg Hardy.
Greg Hardy was the main event of that card, right?
Yeah.
But I felt like I was still in the shine. Even though I didn't get the contract, everybody was like remembering me because they were like, man, this kid talked too much, right? So it was a cool thing. It was either you liked it or you hated it. And a lot of people hated it, but you remember me. So when you see me again, you're like, oh, I remember this guy. This is the guy that just kept talking this whole fight. He won, but he just talked the whole fight. So when I went to Syndicate, I train at Syndicate now that I live in Texas, and the guy was like, yeah, I remember you. You just wouldn't shut up. I was cussing at my TV the whole time. So that's a great way to meet the coach. John Wood knew who I was, remembered my fight detailed. Oh, because I just kept talking.
Wait, do you live in Vegas?
I just moved to Vegas, yeah. So I live here now.
All
so you guys can be seeing me all the time.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah.
And
Check
you're
out
originally from California, right?
Originally from California.
What part?
I'm originally from Ontario, California.
Oh,
Rancho
okay, we know where
Cucamonga,
that's at.
Ontario. Yeah.
We're from the OC, Orange
Okay.
County.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Orange County.
Yeah.
I lost to you guys' boy, Curtis Melinder, Orange County.
yeah.
I thought I was going to go to Orange County and act a fool. Boy, they stopped that blaze, blazed that trail. They slowed that blaze all the way down. Let's not talk about that, though. Let's talk about something else.
If you were a pro wrestler, and I just want to gauge your personality a little better, if you were a pro wrestler, do you think you'd be a baby face or a heel? What do you embrace more?
You said a baby face or a heel?
Yeah,
What's
good
that
guy or
mean?
bad guy?
A good guy or bad
Baby face
guy?
is a good guy.
And the heel's the bad guy. I already know the
I
answer.
would be whatever the people want me to be.
You're a baby face.
I would be whatever the
I
people
thought he'd
want
be
me
a
to
good
be.
heel.
He kind of oozes charisma. He's funny.
Yeah?
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know. But then I think you'd have to be a jerk, but I don't see it in him. And you know what it has to do with? I think I heard the grandparents, they seem to just instill, hard work in you. And I don't know. I don't know. You tell us. In a few minutes, I'm asking if you have a good street fight story. Maybe there's a nasty side to the Trailblazer we don't know.
You know
but
what?
you just seem like a real good dude. So I think you would do well as a baby face.
Watch me in my XKO days, though. My XKO days. Before I matured a little bit. You know what I mean? It was like everybody in Texas, they did not like me.
Oh.
A big part of the move was like, okay, I could have stayed in Texas, and everybody knows who Fortis MMA is out of Texas, right? Safe. He has the number one gym out there, right? But I was a Phalanx guy and I was a Travis Lutter guy. And I would just talk so much crap about people. You know what I mean? But that's how I got my fights. If you didn't want to fight me because you felt like it was physically going to be too much, mentally I'd piss you off so bad that you had no choice but to fight me. I'd talk about your coach, talk about your cousin.
So he'd be a great heel.
I wouldn't talk about your mama, but I'll talk about your daddy. And then it'd be time to fight. It just is what it is. And I had to book my fights. I had to pay my bills. I didn't want to go to work.
I want to go back to that night. Look who was on that fight card, guys. That won. This was his competition for that night. Alonzo Menifield won that night. Chris Curtis won that night.
Wow.
Greg Hardy won that night. Montel Jackson won that night. So all names that are doing well in the UFC or PFL and they got the finishes. So Kevin was dominant. So big mouth or not, he was dominant. But in the end, I think those of us that recognize the talent were cheering for the finish because we knew that you were first that night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't know the results. You don't know how hard the
But
high
I
bar is
I
gonna
knew
be raised.
Alonzo Menifield though. I knew that he was knocking people out in the first round in the local levels where we were. You know what I mean? And
So
I knew
didn't
he'd
that
already
make
been
you
on the
think
Contender
that
Series.
maybe you could have stepped on the gas? Because no disrespect, I felt like you went about.
I went easy that
Let's
fight.
just say that you're capable of. We'll use the car analogies, right? 120 miles an hour, and that night I felt like you were going 75 at times 90, but I didn't see 120. I felt like you have a 120 in you. I've seen it. But that night I was like, ooh, he better step on the gas and get the finish because he's going first. I didn't know who these other guys were going to do, but I could just tell that the vibe of the gym that night was like, man, he's got a big mouth. Now let's see what he can do. And so,
So
just my personal opinion, that's all.
I should have capitalized. Had I capitalized, I would have did it like exactly opposite what I was planning to do that night, though. So I was planning on going in there, and I wasn't planning on getting a contract. I was planning on going there and getting paid. You know what I mean? Like, I knew everybody else was going there for the contract, and I understand that's what you're supposed to be on the Deena White Tuesday, the contender for it. But I was like, maybe I'll get a call back. I'll go fight back at the local circuit. Then I'll get a call back, make another 10K. I was thinking small. I wasn't thinking get the big contract and then keep going. I was thinking like, man, look, I just fought for this Bellator. I'm going to go do this. This is one heck of a year. It's already topping out real nice. $10,000 payday just for fighting. That's not including that home sponsors. Like, to me, I thought that was love. I thought that was good. After the fight, my manager had to explain to me, no, dummy, you always look for more. Look for the future. Look for, look to be brighter. And so, I'm just learning, a big learning step that fight. Maybe I should have put him away, but I wasn't going in there to get a finish. If you look at my record, that fight and the Gerald Mershart fight, my last fight, was the only 2 fights I ever went to decision that I won. I'm not used to going to decision and winning. I felt like I needed to do that at my point in my career.
Mearshard's a tough out, man. That's a tough dude.
Dude, what?
That was a good win for you. By the way, that dummy is Oren Hodak, who just had his second baby. Give him a shout out, Goose.
Hello, Oren.
Yep. So
What's up,
congratulations
baby?
to him and his family. Dan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, can I offer a different perspective?
Sure.
I was a little frustrated, but not in the same way frustrated that anybody else was, I can guarantee, because that stuff doesn't upset me. I kind of see what you're doing. Speaking of the XKO, that's where I actually came across you researching for a fight on Jeff Neal, and I watched that fight, and I was like, "Ooh, I know this kid." So
Yeah.
I was frustrated in a different way, where I was like, "Oh, I know this kid's got some talent. I want to see him show what what little at that time I saw." But no shame there, man, at all. And something I talked about you when you called into our show's last interview you did here, and I'm a old school martial arts head. That's how I kind of came in through the sport. Kempo, karate, taekwondo, and kung fu. And I talked to you about that kung fu because when I see your jiu-jitsu game, obviously great coach Travis Luter, brown belt if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
still brown belt.
Yes, sir.
But obviously those skills are legit coach. But there was a certain flow, and I talked to you about this, a certain dexterity that I feel that you get from kung fu. You don't see anybody really translate that to like striking, but I could see it in your flow, your strikes as well. But even in your grappling, can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so kung fu, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's like nonstop. It's like you're just flowing. You're constantly flowing. Kind of like when Anderson Silva said, like water. You know what I mean? So it just never stops. So it's kind of like the same thing in jiu-jitsu, plus self-defense. So when I came in the circuit, I was like, yeah, I want to be really, really good at self-defense. I want to be a really good street fighter. I didn't never think about anything about MMA. I didn't know about MMA at the time, and so it was like when I finally did come over to do jiu-jitsu with Travis, I was getting smashed nonstop, my first month or so, because I was just thinking nonstop, I need to be a jiu-jitsu guy now. Right. Instead of thinking like, nah, you know what, I need to make my kung fu translate from here to there. Mm-hmm. And so I stopped worrying about the belt system and I just started worrying about who I was as a martial artist. And I realized even though I'm on my back, I can still roll certain ways. I can still move certain ways. I can still do certain things. I can still suck you into a pattern. And I got really good at getting submission off the shot. I got really good at getting thrown on my back or on my head and using that to roll over and get on top of you. So my wrestling may not be the greatest, but your wrestling is the start of my jiu-jitsu. And it was just a thing that came from kung fu. Your offense, it's my offense as well. Your defense is my defense as well. So it's like sticky hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I just have to know how to make it all flow together.
And do you think because of that timing and that different approach, like you did a great job of explaining, by the way, but is that why, for example, whether it's like analysts I respect have trouble, breaking down your game, or fighters that are very good, like even Thiago Santos who's fighting for the title, they win or lose, they have a difficult time dealing with you. Is that why?
Yeah, I would have to say that's why. I mean, styles make fights, right? And I love Stylebender's name, right? Stylebender, bends every style. But it's like, that's what it's about. It's about being able to change your style for the fight at that moment in time, being able to adapt. I mean, even if I am getting smashed on, you know what I mean, I'm going to be able to adapt to survive. Take the refs out the equation, make it a long night, make it a little bit longer. I mean, yeah, we're here, this is competition. This is beautiful for the fans, and I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I trained first to be somebody who can defend my family and defend myself. Take everything out of there. Let's see who's gonna make it. See who's gonna make it with no refs, no nothing. Let's see who's gonna make it. Let's see who ends up, still breathing when it's all over and done with. Because I can go for a really long time.
Right.
I could take a long beating.
I like that mentality. And just last one for me, as far as the kung fu stuff, while we're on the kung fu, is how deep does it go? Now we talk about the realness, obviously, but as far as like kung fu movies, you got any favorites you can throw out there for the?
Don't say no, Panda.
No, man. So, I'm a big superhero fan, right?
Okay.
So it's like, I can break it down off like a cartoon. I can break it down off a superhero movie.
If you got a favorite.
Just pretty much any Batman.
Okay.
I feel like it's realistic. Or
wait, who's your
Green
favorite
Arrow.
Batman?
Who's my favorite Batman?
That's a big topic
you
right
mean
now.
like as
You
far
know they
as
have a new one now, right?
No.
Robert Pattinson's going to be the new Batman. That makes no sense to me.
Name all the Batmans, guys.
Michael Keaton. Well, I mean, I guess you go far back as Adam West, right?
Right.
Michael Keaton, George Clooney, Val Kilmer. What's the guy that always
Christian
gets
Bale,
Christian Bale's always pissed off.
Where's the trigger?
Yeah.
I liked it.
I think I got him right. Andre,
Askren.
you back me up here?
Ben Askren.
And I didn't mean that as Andre. Hey, you're a nerd. Can you back me up? Do you know any other ones?
Ben.
Who?
No, I got no clue right now. I'm blank.
Batman.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I think those are it.
He was Batman, right?
Yeah. So which one
Ben
of those
Askren
Batmans
is
did you
Batman?
Oh yeah,
no, Ben Affleck. I'm
Affleck.
talking about Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck.
Oh, Ben Affleck. I was like,
Ben Affleck is Batman.
With the crimson chin, he might be able to pull it off, right?
I just gotta put that whole mop underneath that mask. That ain't gonna happen.
I don't know, man.
hell
He
he
need a
was
haircut.
fast,
Boom,
huh?
roasted. Right?
Can you imagine him as Bruce Wayne at parties like, fool, you're Batman with that big ass shit. We know.
Exactly.
Who's your favorite?
You know what, bro? Christian Bale did a really good job on his
It's a great job.
on his thing. So I got to go with him. And the whole timeline, the way they did it, I just kind of wish they never stopped.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Chris Nolan did a great job with those ones.
Yeah.
I love Christian Bale.
There need to be closure with the Joker, I felt. I wish they would have gone back.
Who's
That
your
would've been
favorite
nice.
villain?
Joker.
Joker.
There's no way
Joker?
around it.
There's two good Jokers though. There's two good ones.
He's mentally insane, bro.
That's true.
He's mentally insane.
What
Like,
about Catwoman?
There's a couple
I
different.
don't really feel like
Catwomans.
she's like just like playing villain though. Like you should say who's my favorite thief. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, she might be my favorite thief.
I mean, that might
She's
be
sexy.
fun to hunt down Catwoman. You know what I mean? It's
That'd
like
be a fun top 5 favorite thieves in a movie. That's a good.
I don't
top
like
five there.
Bane. All you had to do was unplug him, right?
The new Bane was nice though.
Like them?
Yeah, I like the new Bane.
But rather than fight him, wouldn't you just focus on pulling the plug, that thing on his face?
The fight is always fun.
Yeah?
The fight is always fun.
I will say a little trivia fact. Bob Crane, the creator of Batman, his favorite Batman. Now this was before Christian Bale came around. He died before that version, but his favorite was actually Val Kilmer. He said when he wrote the character Bruce Wayne, he imagined him how exactly how Val Kilmer played him. Granted, I think there's only like 3 or 4. I think Clooney. Well, he saw the Clooney version, which wasn't.
I think Bale, and then West for me, and then I'd have to go to the other 3.
Joel Schumacher really took some liberties with that Clooney and that George Clooney costume. It was they were very detailed in the random parts where you don't really want to detail the superhero so much. But they really focus on those parts.
I thought Affleck would have done a little better.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him.
That's
I
right.
thought he would have done
Affleck.
a little better. You know, I kind of liked it, but then it was just kind of like, oh, come on, man. Like,
I still got to see that. I can't weigh in. I got to see that one still. I'm behind.
You fight a lot.
nah, I don't fight enough.
2000, like we just passed 4 years, and you had 18 professional fights. That's quite an active schedule. Look, in 2015, 5 fights. 2016, 3.
Yeah.
3 is a pretty active year for nowadays, you know. But still, that's he's slowed down.
What year did I have 3?
In 2016.
Really?
2017,
That's horrible.
you did 4. In 2018, 6. It's a lot of fighting.
And then right, like, so last year that was last year I had 6 fights. But if you look at it, right, it was like, so I had like the XKO fight, I had the Bellator fight, I had the Contender fight, and then I had 2 UFC fights. Like, that's dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you count.
Can you get better though? Do you? They say that when you get better and improve your skills,
it's outside of camp, right?
Right. So, do you? Are you able to get that time? You know, so that you're able to balance family time, getting ready for the next camp, but also just isolating and maybe working on some new tricks to add to the tool belt.
Yeah. So I learned pretty quick. At least I think so. You know what I mean? You'd have to ask my coaches to get a true answer on that, right? But I think I learned pretty quick. So that being said, I think that there's nothing that I really can't learn except for wrestling. I wrestle really weird. Like, I wrestle really, really weird. I don't know. It's just
like it.
It's like a lazy wrestler. Don't nobody want no lazy wrestler.
On wrestling, do you work more on the takedown, or do you actually work on takedown defense, or actually offensive wrestling?
I try and work offensive wrestling, but I'm not offensive. I like reversing it. But yeah, I get plenty of time to mesh everything. And then, you know, how many styles do you see out there? You don't see a lot of styles.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a circle, you know what I mean? And it's like so many things you can fit in a circle, and these guys only have so many styles. But then I come from that weird background, Kung Fu, right? Mm-hmm. So and then I do a lot of traditional martial arts. So like I'm always in the gi. So like my jiu-jitsu knowledge is like, it should always be improving if I'm always in the gi. I'm always learning new little neat tricks, right? Mm-hmm. And then I go back to no gi, and then you got to break all this stuff down. So yeah, I think I'm always learning. And they say some guys only get ready, they get better per fight, right? So each camp, I feel like I'm getting a little better, and I'm always in camp. When am I not in camp?
Right. Who do you like watching fight professionally? Like where you just go, man, I'm a fan of that guy or gal.
I'm a big fan of John Jones. Always have been, always will be. Anything he does outside of fighting, that is what it is. You know, it's not my business. I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor. People say outside of the cage, he's a little this, he's a little that. I'm a big fan of him, period. Right. I don't really care. I think some of the things that he does outside of the cage, as far as like slapping the fan's phone out of his hand, it's probably a little bizarre, right? But what you gonna do on a bad day? Ask yourself that. What you gonna do on a bad day? Oh, you're not gonna do that? Okay. Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't have that attention and money on me. I wouldn't know.
So it's like, yeah, nobody's gonna. They're not suing us. They're suing guys like that, right?
Yeah. Looking back, I guess he didn't hurt the guy. He took the phone. I'm sure it cost him. As long as you don't hurt people.
As long as you're not hurting nobody. You know what I mean? But it's like, if I tell you not to take a picture, it gets kind of frustrating. I'm a big fan of a lot of these guys. Who am I not a fan of? That should really be the question. I really like. I don't know. I like watching fighting.
Who you not a fan of, Kevin Holland?
Yeah, who you not a fan of?
I don't know. I like everybody.
Oh,
I'm a real nice guy.
Everybody ties for first?
No.
Okay.
No. You know what? Over the years, Daniel Cormier has been number one. He's like gradually
moved. Like a favorite of yours?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like from meeting him to actually watching him fight and his story and everything that he's done. So I'd have to say DC. Nice. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you meet him, he's just like straight up, straightforward. He ain't holding nothing back. And, when he fights, he always goes out there and gets the job done. He rarely gets beat. He has an overall style. He can knock you out. He can take you down. Sure, he can tap you out. He can do anything. What's there not to like about DC? And he's a 2-time champ.
Have you ever not liked the commentating, whether it's on your fight or someone else? You don't have to tell names, but
yeah, I'm gonna say a name. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say a name. And if he's watching this, I'm sorry to say this, but Dominic Cruz. I've always liked that guy. And then, it was like he commentated my fight.
What'd he say?
And he was just like, he's flopping everywhere. And it's like, bro, you're like a high level wrestler, so I understand. You know what I mean? But it's like flopping. Nah, like I'm rolling, bro. I'm twisting. I'm maneuvering. Putting this bad boy in different spots. So it's not like no hard feelings to him or nothing like that. But it's like when you're sitting behind this mic, you should choose your words a little more wisely. You know what I mean? And it's like, and if you think I'm flopping, I may be a little heavier than you, but you know what I mean? I'll roll a little light and I'll flop on you. You know what I mean? And we can figure out what it's just flopping or if it's skill. So I don't know. I just felt like that was a little mean to say about me.
Have you seen him since then?
No, I seen him in the elevator before the fight, and I was trying to give him a compliment.
After the comments or before?
No, I ain't seen him after the. I ain't gonna say nothing.
What
either.
happened before? You tried?
I tried to compliment him in the elevator.
What'd you say? Like nice suit, or what'd you say?
No, I was like, you're the man. He was like, keep working.
That's it?
Like, yeah, I was like, dang.
Wow.
How would that play?
Keep working.
You're the man. Keep working. That's not a good comeback.
That's
right?
like
he was on his phone. I think he was
the
just kind of like,
That's the equivalent of like a little kid saying something to you, and you just like rub their hair, mess it up, and go, "Have fun, have fun, kid.
Yeah,
grow up to be a fireman, kid.
Keep growing.
I don't know about you, Kevin. You tell me what you think, but it's kind of like the saying. For me, I must describe it as the saying. It's about how you win. It's not how you lose. Kind of tells more about you, and not that you should take anything personal. Because again, you probably just caught him at an exchange. Dominic Cruz. I don't know him personally. We've shared a similar coach, which I'm going to ask you about in a second. But in my personal interactions with him, a nice guy.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, it bothers me more, and you guys weigh in on this too, when someone is like blows you off when you try to be nice to them, than if they're just a straight up dick to you. If they're straight up dick to you, okay, maybe a bad move, maybe I did something. At least it was just one way. Nice. But then if you go to somebody and you're nice, or you do something, and then they're, whether it's a holding the door, an unspoken action, or a spoken action, I take that more personally.
That's what I take personally. Okay. If I hold the door open for you and you can't say thank you,
walk through. That makes no sense, right?
I'll be like, "You're welcome." Like I'll just like yell, like, "You're welcome." They'll be like, they'll look at me like, "Are you okay?" And I'll be like, "No, are you okay?" Like, you should have said thank you. Like I'll be really hurt. You know what I mean? Like significantly. I'm like, oh my gosh, like why did he do that to me? I won't hold the door for nobody for the rest of the day. I'll just be like.
I like that he's in Vegas. You're making Vegas better right now.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you're a good bundle of energy, man.
Keep working.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep working. I'm going to keep working, bro. Keep working.
Speaking of that shared coach, because to tie that up real quick, because it also ties back to the styles, and like we were talking about, you're talking about the gi and grappling and learning new things, but a coach I came up under, he's at a syndicate right now, I believe, is Neil Melanson. Catch wrestling coach. Have you gotten to work with him yet?
No, I haven't got to work with him. I have actually only got to really work with John Wood up there. The head, I believe he's the head coach at John Wood. John's the man.
Cool guy.
I've been having a blast with John. So shout out to Syndicate big time. And it's like can't wait until after the fight's over to go back. You said learning new tricks. I'm not really a gym hopper. I don't really go to a lot of different gyms, but I've been to Millennia MMA out in California. Learned a lot of new tricks when I went over there for a little while. Being with Travis over the years, he's always had something nice to show me in grappling. So I'm always learning, pressure, and I'm not a pressure guy. Being over there with John, though, it's like he just has like an encyclopedia knowledge for MMA. And it's like, and I've learned great jiu-jitsu. I've learned good MMA stuff, places, things that I really needed to know along the route. I've learned striking from several different people, but John Wood, overall, great MMA coach. You know, his knowledge is wonderful.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about John Wood for sure.
And his energy too. You know, I'm a big fan of energy.
Yeah, that seems to be real important. I will just say though, just another shameless plug. If you can't check out one of Neil's classes, he's a good guy to pick as far as coach. Real different.
Yeah, I definitely.
You'd probably dig it.
And you said catch wrestling, and you know I need to work on the wrestling.
But he's actually more of a lazy wrestler himself too. You know what I'm saying?
So it might work out.
Yeah, exactly. It'll make what you probably already do stronger because he's more of a concept guy. You can take those concepts and apply them how you want. He fight your body style type of guy, obviously.
Yeah, and I love concepts.
And you're already looking at guys that, whether John Jones, as far as those body frames. And
I like the way, I love the way he uses his takedowns. His IQ in the cage is amazing, you know what I mean? It's like it's hard to take that away from the guy. It's like the IQ is amazing, so.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We got Kevin Holland here in studio with us. He's a middleweight, fights in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and he'll be fighting on June 22nd down in, Simpsonville, South Carolina or something like that?
Yeah.
I think so. And he'll be fighting against Alessio Di Chirico. We'll be back after this quick break, and then we're going to do our daily debate. Don't touch that dial.
All jokes aside, George and Goes are some of the best chicks I know. Here we go with more verbal sparring. Take it away, ladies.
SiriusXM's The Beatles channel wants to send you and a guest to see Paul McCartney and his Freshen Up tour at Petco Park in San Diego or Dodger Stadium. Both shows are sold out, but you can enter for your chance to win a trip for two to the show of your choice. You'll sit in the SiriusXM suite and attend Paul's pre-show sound check. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Paul McCartney Tour and do that before June 10th. You got about 11 days. No additional purchase is necessary. We're joined in studio by Kevin Holland, fights for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. He'll be fighting in about 3 weeks down in Simpsonville, South Carolina. Greenville, South Carolina. Some places it says Simpsonville, other places it says Greenville, but it's in South Carolina. The main event that night, the Korean Zombie's back. They'll be fighting Hanato Moicano. Kevin Holland, we always ask our in-studio guests if they can share a good street fight story. Will you share one with us?
Which one?
The good one.
I got a lot of them. What scenario?
Let's
talk about the restroom.
Nightclub.
Restroom?
Nightclub.
All right.
Restroom.
All right.
Okay.
All the same thing.
Okay.
All right. So I ain't going to say where because I don't want the people to be mad at me, right?
Just tell us. Riverside, Vegas, or Texas?
Texas.
Okay.
All right. So I was somewhere with my mom.
So you at a OK Corral?
Yeah, I know everybody. I know everybody there at the place, right?
You're with your
Everybody knows
mom?
me. I'm with my mom.
Okay.
I'm with my stepdad, and I'm with my old lady, right? And we're sitting there, and we're chilling, and we're all a little intoxicated, right? So some guy goes to trip my mom.
Wait, in a club or a restaurant?
It's like a bar.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a club, but it's a bar.
And some dude tried to trip your mom?
He tried to trip
what an
my
asshole.
mom. And you know, the thing about it is like everybody knows me. So I was like, why would he try and trip my mom? And so it was like, they didn't want to say anything, but then they finally said something. And they pointed to him, and I was like, oh, him. And I was like, bet. And I was already kind of looking at him funny because I had an afro at the time. He had an afro, and his afro looked better than my afro. So
Like
he
when
went
two
to
hot chicks are in the room? They
Yeah.
just don't like each other
Yeah,
instantly?
like that. So he went to the restroom. I went to the restroom, and I was whizzing, and he was whizzing, and it wasn't really a fight. I just felt like it was like the best situation ever. So he was still out. I could probably get like a sexual assault case for this. And I walk up behind him, and I smack his head on the wall. Smack! Knocked him unconscious, literally right then and there.
While he was pissing?
While he was pissing.
Damn.
Use like open hand?
Yeah, I just grabbed back his head. Smack!
Or just push the head into the wall?
Just smack head into the wall.
That is the exact scenario why I was told to not use urinals at clubs. Always in bars or clubs.
Yeah.
Go to a stall. You at least have time to zip up and get your guard up.
I figured it was pretty dirty. It was a dirty move, but at the same time,
So
trying to trip my mom
Yeah.
was pretty dirty, and I was pissed.
He tried, but he didn't do it, right?
Like he tried to trip her, and she had heels on, and I don't know how she caught herself, but she caught
Why?
herself.
Okay,
that's
but
fucked up.
I know it was the most horrible thing ever to try to do that to someone's mom, but is there a reason? Like,
You know what?
hey, I'm just a
You know
jerk
what?
and I just do
It's-
this.
Yeah,
Your
my
mom was
mom-
random, or
my
was there
mom
something that happened?
Gets pretty wild. She gets pretty wild. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she probably did something. But remind you, they didn't want to tell me the story.
Okay.
So all I got was word that he tripped my mama, and they pointed to who it was. So when he went pee, I had to go pee. And it was just like, it was nobody in the restroom. It was golden. It was like Golden Corral, baby. It was perfect. You know what I mean?
Did you go back to your seat and enjoy your night? Or
Yeah,
did you
I
tell
went
the
back
party,
and
we got to
chilled.
get on out of here?
No, I went back and chilled.
And did you watch the door to see when it came out?
Nah,
Come on, Kevin Holland.
I wasn't worried about it.
Was there a ruckus? Like, oh my God, someone's out in the bathroom. I mean, like nothing like that.
As I was walking out, somebody was walking in, and I was like, bro, he's pissed drunk.
That's actually pretty gangster, right?
That's a
That
pretty
is.
cool
Kept
story.
pushing.
Yeah.
Just kept pushing. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like, I
All
can't
right.
stay here for this.
He said which one, so he's got others. Maybe we'll get another. Right now, we got to do our daily debate. Let's crank that up, Andre.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling, tastes great. Less filling, tastes great.
gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black, red, black, dummy.
or even social media.
Instagram,
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
You like that, Kevin Holland? Always bet on black.
I do.
Yeah, all right. Here's the question for today, fellas. Today's daily debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio and UFC middleweight Kevin Holland. If a high-profile fighter loses an opponent very close to the fight, what is your preference? Let me expand on this because I created the question.
All right.
Kind of like along the lines of, you have two choices. There's Woodley, backed out of the Lawler fight with weeks to go. Queen Latifah, also known as Ilir Latifi, he backed out of his fight with Volkan Ozdemir with days to go. So there's different scenarios here, okay? But here are your choices. New opponent, give me anyone. Same opponent at a later show. Or new opponent at a later show. So again, just to break it down like here, what you guys would be saying is new opponent, just keep Lawler on the card, give him someone, you know, from a regional promotion or whatever, free agent, or just a UFC guy that's been sitting on his hands and he's going to step in late. Same opponent later show. Okay, hey, we like Lawler versus Woodley. Let's just grab him and put him later in the summer when Woodley's ready to go. And, of course, the other one's new opponent later show. So, hey, Lawler, we really wanted you to dance against Woodley, but we couldn't find anyone. We're just going to move you by yourself to another show against someone else. So hopefully that helps. What are your choices? You start, Dan.
Well, injuries and long-term things that pull people off is going to be the caveat for a couple of these answers, but I can't get my head around that Wesley Snipes passenger 57 quote you just dropped to start off this daily debate. So I'll answer it in Wesley Snipes' analogy format.
Okay.
You know, if this was Wesley Snipes from Blade, I think he just takes on anybody who's going to be there. But where my vote falls in, I say same opponent, because if it's Wesley Snipes from White Man Can't Jump, say what you will about Woody Harrelson, he needs his partner there. You know what I'm saying? You need that dance partner. And we're going back to the MMA analogy. I like seeing these matchups kind of fall through on. I know.
So like a Woodley and Lawler at a later show.
Yes, and I know the UFC probably is going to be on the other. They're going to want to keep their shows intact. They've got bigger masters.
What about
to
the
serve.
fans that
And
paid?
I don't like that, man. I care about these fighters' careers, and nothing I hate more is seeing a guy on a run get some momentum, and he's put in a funny spot, and you know he's kind of maybe he has to say yes. And of course he's going to believe in his skills and bet on himself at the end of the day, and then he loses it, man. So I like keeping momentum there. I like keeping the fairness as much as you can. So same opponent, different day.
All right, how about you guys?
I am very pro-fighter. And what I'm thinking about, let's just take Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland spent a lot of money to train for a particular opponent. That coach is not going to get paid because he didn't get to fight. So I would feel better about that fighter being able to get scheduled on another card and kind of fulfill what he invested in. I'm also a fan of knowing that whoever's at the top and has the belt is supposed to be that guy. And I feel like it's unfair if you have two, remember you said high-profile fighter. If you have two high-profile fighters, I want them both coming in at 100%. I don't want to hear that this guy came in off of 7 days' notice, because that's not going to be 100% of that guy. And I don't know that that's going to give us the true outcome in a fight that we want. We want to know the best Robbie Lawler versus the best Ben Askren. We want to know who's going to win that fight. Not 10 days Robbie Lawler or 10 days Ben Askren or whatever the scenario you want to use. We don't want to know that. Mm-hmm. So I would say I want that same fight just at a later date when it makes sense.
What about the fans that paid money? They're flying in. They wanted to see Lawler.
That's why cards are deep. That's why this is in boxing. If that happened in boxing, that's going to suck. But this is MMA, and our cards are deep, and that's why they're deep.
All right, how about you, Kevin?
Man, it's a really, really good question. But I'm a fan like this, so it's like if it was a championship fight, what I would say is if next in line is ready to step up, let next in line step up. So if you got a championship fight, if you're 2 and 3, stay ready to go. If number 1 can't get the job done, if he pulls out.
So you're trying to best to keep the healthy fighter on the original card and just fill the spot.
Yeah, because he still got to get paid. He should not be able to not get paid because this other guy chose to tear a vaginal muscle that time. You see what I'm saying? It shouldn't be the problem. You know, there was times where I was hurt and I couldn't fight, you know. And
how'd you tear your vaginal muscle?
Doing it too hard.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It was like, you know, I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Nah, I mean, like, you know, things happen.
Yeah.
This is a rough sport. Things do happen. I understand things do happen. That's why I try and be a middleweight that stays close to his weight, and I'm always ready to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to step up when the time comes. That's what you get paid for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This is martial arts. You're a martial artist. So if you're a true martial artist, you stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. What? You need to be in better shape? That's why we got schedules. That's why you need to be running. That's why you need to be doing your strength and conditioning. Oh, you're on vacation? That's why you're a martial artist. You're disciplined. Go do it while you're on vacation. If you're not going to do it, you're going to take those chances and go in there the way you are. That means you're drunk, high, coming off the couch. It is what it is. Let your side know what you've been taking and go out there and fight. Simple as that.
Yeah, I also like having the fighters stay on the card. I think Lawler had possibilities, man. Leon Edwards wanted some. Ponzinibbio wanted some. There was a few other fighters that threw their hand up. I think Till said, "Look, I'll meet you at 175."
Yeah, I think
it would have been nice.
Still should have to fight. Still should have. I think Lawler should still be able to fight. But
like if there was something special about Lawler versus Woodley, there's nothing wrong with it. Woodley already beat him, so maybe for Lawler it was special. But I think Lawler just wants to get back to the title, and there's other fighters that have a high profile like Woodley that could maybe fit the bill. Or how about the fact that there's a lot of fighters that can't get into the UFC, and this is their chance to come from CFFC, Titan, LFA, or just another organization and step in on late notice and maybe make something happen for themselves.
Guys, take it from me. You don't want to step in like that. I stepped in like that against Thiago. I said something about Santa Claus, and he just went crazy. I guess he was on a naughty list. You don't want to step up last second and fight one of them guys like that. You think you do, but the timing is different. The way they fight is completely different than them local levels. They think they want to do that, They don't want to do that. They want to do that against a guy that's not ranked. They don't want to do that against a ranked guy. It's a win-win situation for them. Yeah, maybe they get lucky. Maybe they throw the right punch. Y'all don't want to do that. You're not me. You won't be able to survive. You'll get knocked out. Promise you.
All right. Well, here's how the voting went. New opponent, anyone? 52%. Same opponent, later show, 39%. New opponent, later show, 9%. Thanks to Junkie Nation, the readers of the site, listeners of the show for weighing in, and thanks, of course, to Kevin Holland for being a part of it. We're going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll talk to Calvin Kattar, UFC featherweight, and then we'll finish up with Kevin Holland here, who's in studio with us. Stay close. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on Fight Nation, Channel 156.
Good, you're still here. The boys were just getting warmed up. Now the real show begins. Take it away, boys.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout from Kevin Holland, and we'll come back to him. But right now, we're going to focus on another superstar fighter from the UFC, 19-3 overall, 3-1 in the UFC, much like Kevin Holland. His name is Calvin Kattar, and he'll be fighting Ricardo Lamas at UFC 238. Man, that's a great fight between two solid featherweights. You can catch their fight on ESPN at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as that leads into the pay-per-view, which is headlined by Henry Cejudo versus Marlon Moraes. Joining us now on the hotline is Calvin Kattar. What's up, Calvin? How you doing? Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio.
Good to be back. Damn, gentlemen, it's tough to be upset with you guys for calling me from a New York number when you play that music.
All right. Hey, listen, I got Dan and Goes with me, and we also have UFC middleweight Kevin Holland here with us. And I got to tell you, man, I'm really, really excited about next Saturday's card. It is stacked from top to bottom, but this one's one of my favorites. Ricardo Lamas has been doing this for a long time. He's been a ranked opponent for a long time, and of course, you've bursted onto the scene and doing well for yourself as well. 3-1 overall, in the UFC, 19-3 overall. Tell me something. Did you even early on, maybe, were you a fan of Ricardo Lamas? Was it one of those situations he's put in so much time that you actually watched him fight and maybe even grew to like him?
I mean, I wouldn't say a fan, but I knew who he was. You know, how can you not respect what the guy's done in the sport?
Right.
I'm excited to go and test myself against a guy that's, fought for the title and is a contender. So just to show where I stack up in the division against the guys that call themselves the best,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this fight is in Chicago, so you're one of those guys that gets to kind of come in and ruin the party a little bit. Do you like being the road game, the road team, and fighting in someone's hometown? Have you done that a lot in your career?
I actually have never done it, and awkwardly enough, I'm pretty excited about it. I've never been to Chicago, and we already took out 3 suites. I got a bunch of people coming with me, so as much as I'm looking forward to the booze, I might be hearing some cheers as well. We pack the house when we take over. You know what the Boston crowd does.
Right on. All right, Goes, what do you have for Calvin Kattar?
Calvin, every time you go out to train, it's like an episode of Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. You got to cover a lot of distance. How long, what's the toughest part about all that, man? And what are your rest days like?
Rest days are more recovery days, It's like I actively recover on the rest days, and when I'm on the road, I like to listen to audiobooks and shit like that on the road. And this way, when I get to the gyms, it's such a long ride. If I'm listening to music, by the time I get to the gym and I put something on to pump me up, I'm going to be sick of that shit. You know what I mean? I probably heard it the whole ride there. So I try to just pack my long rides with stuff like that, audiobooks, things that just quality things to listen to. And then when I get to the gym, I put in the headphones and I get to work.
No MMA radio shows that you could listen to that are, 2 hours or something like that?
Yeah, we can keep you company.
Yeah, there's plenty, man, but I try to keep that mindset kind of like the sets at the gym. I don't want to know how many miles I have to do. I don't want to know how many sets I got to do. I keep my head down. I drive to the gym, and as soon as I get there, I get to work, and when I'm at the gym, I finish the sheet and don't want to hear how many sets I got left till I'm done.
Calvin Kattar, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio, on Twitter, at Calvin Kattar, just like his name. He'll be fighting Ricardo Lamas on June 8th in Chicago, Illinois, and that's part of UFC 238. Dan, Tom, our fight analyst, what do you have for Calvin Kattar?
Hey, Calvin, my LA-centric fight co-host here might not appreciate this, but I got love for Boston from the music bands they put out, friends I grew up with, and also some sports teams as well. I know you're a sports guy, obviously, but let me ask you, you're going to Chicago, obviously, I don't know if you're much of I know you're a football guy, I don't know if you're much of a hockey guy, but, the Blackhawks and Bruins had a little bit of a rivalry, if you will, just for the fact they're going head-to-head. If this was pre-Reebok era, would you be rolling into this fight with a Boston Bruins jersey, Calvin?
Shit, I still might be. We're in the finals, man. We're in the cup, and I think Dana's got a soft spot for the Boston boys. I almost did it with the Patriots, but it seems like every time I'm fighting, some team in Boston is in the damn finals. I hope you guys noticed that. Every time I call, I got ammunition ready to go.
Yeah, we're getting tired of it too.
We noticed.
Just wait, give it a couple years, and we'll see.
The only thing we don't have is a damn UFC belt, and I'm looking to bring that shit back soon.
On that note, your last fight was in Canada. Obviously, it was in Moncton. But on that note, did part of you kind of wish it was in Montreal so you could, because again, obviously Bruins Habs. That's the big rivalry, right?
Funny you mention that because I actually got held up in Montreal on the way back. We missed the connector. It was a rough flight, man. They like to fly you out at like 7 a.m. the next morning after your fight. I'm sure Hall could attest to that. I don't know. They get you in and out real quick. But I have family that's flying out there to come see me fight. And I must have finished up around 11, 12. You don't get out of there, grab a couple drinks to everybody that flew in to see you, some dinner and things. And all of a sudden, before you know it, it's 4 or 5 a.m. and you could fly out in 2 hours, let alone if you're a little banged up, So I actually missed the connector in Montreal. Me and Rob Font ended up just getting a rental car. We didn't even get a hotel room for the night. We got a rental car, hit St. Catherine Street, got some food, and just blew off some steam, man. It was great to do that before an 8 a.m. flight that next morning back home, a direct flight. We didn't even get a hotel, man. It was a great time, and it really it finished off the Canada trip.
That true, Kevin? You get early flights like that when you fight as well for the UFC?
Yeah, so last fight was in Philly. They were trying to book me out the next day at like 7 in the morning. And
you guys can't control that? You can't say, hey, man, I want to leave at 5 p.m. or some shit.
Yeah, you can kind of do that. So they were trying to book me out early, and I told them I didn't want to go home for like another 3 days. And they were like, well, we're not booking you a room, so figure it out. And I was like, all right. So I figured it out. And they didn't even have a shuttle for me to get back to the thing. So I was cool with it, though. I have family out there. I was making the best out of it. But, yeah, they get you in, they get you out.
I pretty much did the same thing for Chicago. I don't meet till Tuesday because I think it's frowned upon to get a ballpark frank and a beer during fight week.
Yeah, you're right. I was eating cheesesteaks after the weigh-ins, bro. It was bad, man. It was bad. I eat cheesesteaks.
You got to fit it all in one night, man. It's tough.
Got to make it work.
Calvin, bring that Boston gear. I think that'll be cool, man. Rile the Chicago people up.
Oh, come on, man. I don't go anywhere without it. You know me.
All right. Hey, it's great catching up with you. I hope you have a safe camp, whatever's left, days, I guess. And I guess in 1 week, 8 days or so, we'll be watching you fight Ricardo Lamas. Can't wait for that. So thanks, as always, for the time, man. It's always great having you on the show.
Yes, same, man. And Rob Font 2 weeks after, and following that, we'll both be out there for fight week. So maybe we'll pay you boys a visit.
Come through.
Talk some more shit after the Bruins win the cup.
All right, man. We look forward to it. Thanks, Calvin.
Later, fellas.
All right, see you.
Thank you.
All right. I want to thank our guests for the week, Boss Rudin, Marlon Moraes, Kelvin Tiller, who will be on next week, Danny Castillo, Gilbert Melendez, Rick Mahorn from the NBA, Darien Caldwell, Rakim Cleveland, Kevin Holland, and Calvin Kattar. We got about 90 seconds, Kevin. So first, thanks for coming by. We wish you luck with the rest of your camp. Safe travels to South Carolina. Go out and have some fun. Tell me about that sponsor real fast that you got on.
Zion,
pretty cool.
Zion Nutrition, man. They got this stuff for your brain. So, if you're real dumb, it'll smarten you up a little bit. So
like memory retention and all that? Or keeping you sharp?
Yeah, it keeps you sharp, memory retention and stuff like that, man. I think it's good stuff, man. My wife's taking it. She hasn't looked it up for me,
1 minute.
For the USADA and stuff. So I think she's just kind of holding on.
She
to
has
it
or
for
hasn't?
herself. She hasn't.
Oh, you better clear that.
Yeah, I think she's just holding on to it for herself. I haven't got to take it. She's just holding on to it for herself.
I see.
She's enjoying the benefits of it. She gets headaches. She ain't getting her headache. You know what I mean? And the good thing is she ain't nagging me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah?
And she took my Zion cup. So Zion, if you're watching this, please send me another cup. She's stealing my merchandise, and she took my gray shirt. So all I got is the black one. So you can send another gray one if you want to. She's thieving over here, man. But and I guess they also have some product, man. It's supposed to help you grow your nails and your hair a little faster.
All right.
And she has her own hair salon, so she's gonna put it in her hair salon. So you guys be watching out for that Zion product in her hair salon.
We'll have you back, my man, after your fight.
Sweet.
Go out and do your
Thanks,
thing.
guys.
It was really fun having you, all right?
Yeah.
Folks, we'll be back on Monday with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. Jessica I will stop by the studio. Leota Machito will be on the show. And I believe Ray Sefa or Randy Couture, one of those big shots. Ooh. All right, for Kevin and it goes, Andre back east and Dan, I'm George. Have a nice weekend. Go out there and be a champion.
2, 1.